All right, we'll call this back to order. Okay, our next item, I believe, is public hearing quasi judicial number 1. Public hearing to consider the adoption of an amendment to the Martin County zoning atlas to change the zoning classifications for Monty P. McClendon M234-001 by Mr. Peter Walden.
Where is he?
Let me go through the whole spiel here. Have you turned in your agenda packet and resume and all that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are there any interveners?
No,
There
sir.
are no
I'm intervening.
You're intervening. And then everybody that is going to give some testimony, please stand and be sworn in.
Raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
And do we have any disclosures from Commissioner Smith?
I do, and they're filed.
If any, they've been filed.
Any that have been filed?
I don't have any, and they've been filed.
I don't have any, and they've been filed.
Okay. Moving on.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Peter Walden, Deputy Growth Management Director. This is a request by Monty P. McClendon for a rezoning, and a copy of the agenda item in my work history has been turned in for the record. So this is a request to go from the existing R2 Single Family District to a proposed RM8 Medium Density Residential. The existing future land use on the property is medium density. This is a couple pictures of the site. It's a typical quarter-acre lot. It's in an unplatted area of Jensen Beach off of Baker Road. There's been a couple rezonings in the recent history that are similar to this. So this is the subject site located in pretty much a sea of medium-density residential land use. These clear areas are the city of Stewart. So the application is for consistent zoning with the land use, so it's considered a non-mandatory rezoning request. And this is the R2. Most of this was followed up from the old Category C zoning districts. They're considered Category B now in the current Article 3 zoning zoning article, and that's why it's considered a non-mandatory rezoning request. And you can see the two lots over here across Charlie Green Drive that were recently turned into RM8 as well. And it's pretty straightforward, and I know the applicant has a presentation as well. So development review staff have reviewed the application, finds it's in compliance with all applicable development regulations and the comprehensive plan, as detailed in the attached staff report. And we move that the board receive and file the agenda item and its attachments, including the staff report as Exhibit 1, and move that the board adopt a resolution amending the Martin County zoning atlas to change the zoning district on the subject site from R2 Single Family District to RM8 Medium Density Residential District. That concludes the presentation. Be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions for staff? Seeing none. Applicant?
Good afternoon, everybody. Dina Freeman here with Monty P. McClendon as the applicant. So we have Pete's obviously covered quite a bit. Just to confirm, Article 10, we've provided the sign on site and also the notifications within 500 feet, at least 14 days prior to the public hearings. We were basically, you give me the mouse, thank you. So the request is, as Pete said, R2, zoning change from R2 to RM8, consistent with the medium density residential. The location shows the area depicted in red. It's vacant property, did have previously a single family home in there many years ago, is part of an unplatted area of Martin County. And there's a location map, so 1367 Northwest Charlie Green Drive in Stewart. And there's the municipal boundary. Just to give you the context, the surrounding blue hatched area is all within the city of Stewart. And there's the property again depicted in red. Subject property, vacant 0.25 acres. R2 allows, the current zoning is R2. It allows one residential unit per lawfully established lot. Mr. McClendon would like to construct a duplex. In order to do so, we're here today to request the RM8, which is consistent with the size of the lot and will allow basically two duplexes, or one duplex, two units. The land use, as was confirmed, is medium density. And they're just zooming out just to give you more context in relation to surrounding land uses. Obviously, to the west is Northwest Federal Highway, and further east is Northwest Green River Drive, and to the north is Northeast Baker Road. The zoning map confirming R2, and a recent, in the last couple of years, Baker Road LLC received a zoning change from the R2 to RM8, and there are two duplexes that have just recently been constructed and are at the final phase. So that was successful and obviously received approval from the board. And there again, we've zoomed out to show in context. To the north is RS6, but RS does not allow, single family does not allow a duplex, which is why we're here to request RM, and RM8 will allow the provision of one duplex based on the 0.25 acres. The surrounding properties, just to give you context in relation to the site, there's a lot of established residential small lots. There's a few duplexes in there already. The Avonlea mixed-use project further east is part of the CRA, Community Redevelopment Area, with a density allowed up to 30 units per acre, just to put it into context. Obviously, to the west, we've got the Buttonwood tennis courts, and further west, we've got Northwest Federal Highway in Stewart. This was some analysis that was completed with the Baker Road rezonings depicted in number 1, which is now got the two duplexes. What it does is show the nature of the development that's already there in terms of scale, size of unit, and that they're all very small lots. And it was a subdivision that was not a subdivision. It was never platted. And there's the area number 19 is the subject property. There's some photos that were taken recently that show the site in relation to, you can see the duplexes that have been built from Southeast Baker Road, the subject property, which is vacant but has an established curb cut, and then we've got the existing duplexes again, and the recently approved townhouses, which are within the Avonlea project off of Baker Road. Summary of the key issues. I'll just run through this really quickly. We're here to request the RM8 zoning because it's consistent with the medium density land use designation, and it would allow the one duplex unit on the property based on the gross site area and density. This request would accommodate an infill development. The map in Martin County does show this as an infill site within Martin County. It's an urban area, obviously well served with the utilities within the urban service district boundary. Confirmed that the property owner would like to develop the single-family duplex units on the property, which has triggered the need for the zoning change as non-mandatory. Staff reviewed and made a positive recommendation for RM8. Any future development would require a building permit to be submitted and meet the RM8 zoning district and medium-density land use. And as was confirmed, the signage was posted and a property and mail-out notices were delivered ahead. Just to give context, this shows the single-family and the permitted uses table in relation to why we're here asking for RM8, and that is also obviously because of the density. We will be at the 8 units per acre, just accommodating one of the duplexes. We also give you some information on the development standards. Of importance to note, the R2 zoning actually required less setbacks than the RM8, so we're actually increasing the setbacks from the property into, the development has to be further away from the property lines with the RM8. So conclusion, the property is consistent with the growth management, comprehensive growth management plan and the LDR policies pertaining to a rezone that was submitted in the staff report with all of the analysis. Staff has made a positive recommendation. The local planning agency considered this at a public hearing on the 7th of December. We request officially and formally that the board approve the zoning change from R2 to RM8. And that's the end of the presentation from Dina Freeman. Thank you.
Ms. Elder.
Elise Elder, Deputy County Attorney. I just want to confirm for the record that your affidavit of mailing was turned in the LPA meeting.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions for the applicant? Any public comment? Back to the board.
I'll move staff's recommendation.
Okay. Commissioner Hurd.
Yeah, according to the staff report, in reviewing specific densities, the aim shall be to preserve the stability of established residential areas. And when we look at the zoning map of the existing residential area, to the north is R2 single-family residential, to the south is R2 single-family residential, to the east is R2 single-family residential, and to the west is R2. So the best, most compatible density is, in order to protect the stability of the established residential area, would be for it to remain R2. So I won't be supporting the motion.
Okay, anything else? We've got a motion by Commissioner Heatherington, seconded by Commissioner Scampy. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Opposed?
Motion passes with Commissioner Hurd dissenting.
Thank you very much, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Next, public hearing quasi-judicial number 2, public hearing to consider the adoption of an amendment to the Martin County zoning atlas to change the zoning classification for Western Distribution Center, LLC. Ms. Nagel. Okay, so I got to do that again. Is there any interveners?
There are no interveners.
Anybody here to give testimony? Please stand and be sworn in.
Raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
And Ms. Nagel, have you turned in your copy of the agenda and your resume and all the rest of whatever we need to do?
I have it right here. Thank you.
Thanks. And disclosures, Commissioner Smith?
I do, and they're filed.
If any, mine have been filed.
If any, mine's been filed.
I don't have any that have been filed.
I don't have any, and they've been filed.
Okay,
You're supposed to go last.
I don't care. I'm the chair.
All right. Good afternoon. Proof of mailers was turned in at the LPA meeting for this item. We are here to talk about the request to rezone Weston Distribution Center LLC R2 to LI. Elizabeth Nagel, Development Review Administrator. The property, subject property here is outlined in red. It's at the northeast corner of Southwest Canner Highway and the Florida Turnpike, just west of Southwest Jack James Drive in Stewart. The existing future land use for this site is industrial and surrounded by industrial as well, everywhere north and east and west, and then separated across the turnpike to the west, I'm sorry. The zoning for the site is R2. You can see that in 2001, the surrounding properties were rezoned to limited industrial, but this little parcel remained R2. So this is just to make the parcel consistent with the future land use and surrounding properties, which is all under common ownership as well. There are 3 standard zoning districts that implement the industrial future land use designation: limited industrial, general industrial, and heavy industrial. New PUD zoning is an additional option for applicants, but not presented before you today. The development standards as well as the setbacks were included in the staff report for the 3 standard zoning districts that are compatible with future land use. Also within the staff report were conditions supported limited industrial, including that the site fronts Southwest Canner Highway, a major arterial roadway, and is between the Florida Turnpike and Interstate I-95, which meets the locational criteria of being an accessible site adjacent to a major thoroughfare. Adjacent is the key word, though not actually directly accessed from Canner Highway, but it is fronting. Located within a large area of land designated for industrial land use, not directly adjacent to residential land use. And it is the least intensive district of the Category A zoning district compatible with the industrial future land use. The matter was held before LPA last Thursday, December 7th, 2023, and the board unanimously recommended approval. And with that, the recommended action is to move that the board receive and file the agenda item and its attachments, including the staff report as Exhibit 1, and move that the board adopt a resolution amending the Martin County zoning atlas to change the zoning district designation on the subject site from R2 Single Family District to LI Limited Industrial District. Thank you.
Any questions for staff? Any applicant?
Good afternoon. Thank you for taking this time. I'm the owner of the property. We bought this a year ago. That little triangle that is residential too, it doesn't have any access. We only can access from the rest of our property, where if you see on the map is the big green land. There's no way that we can get access from the turnpike to do a residential. There's no way that we can get access from the canal. We would love to do it residential, but it's impossible to do that. It's radiated for industrial. And to continue in a future development, we need to change it into industrial or light industrial, and it's not going to hurt or make any problems to that whole community. That's why we are requesting the zone change. Thank you.
Any questions for the applicant? No? Any public comment? Seeing none? Commissioner Campy.
I move to accept staff's recommendation for the applicant.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Campy, seconded by Commissioner Smith. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you so much. Have a good afternoon.
Bye-bye.
It's a Christmas miracle.
Yes. Okay, next up, Department quasi judicial request approval for the First Amendment to the Port Cove Planned Unit Development PUD zoning agreement, including a revised master/final site plan B006-009. Mr. Walden is back.
Quasi judicial as well.
Oh, thank you. Is there any interveners?
No interveners.
Okay. Would everybody going to give testimony, please stand and be sworn in?
Raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
The copy of the agenda item and your resume and everything else. Okay, disclosure, Commissioner Smith?
I do, and they're filed.
If any, they've been filed.
If any they've been filed? I do have some of they've been filed. Go ahead.
I have none.
Oh, I didn't do it.
I have none. They've been filed.
I don't have any, and they've been filed.
Thank you, sir. Pete Walden, Deputy Growth Management Director, and this is a request for the First Amendment to the Port Cove Plan Unit Development. It is a quasi judicial matter. However, there was no return receipts required. So a little background, the Port Cove PUD application's been in circulation for several years now. It was originally for 29 townhome units. It's on 4.84 undeveloped parcel, approximately 6 units per acre. It has a 75-foot shoreline protection zone as it's adjacent to the river. And it has approximately 1.95 acres of preserve and 63% total open space on the project. So this project was approved just last year. You may remember that there was an intervener at that time. It was the Beacon 21 Condominium Association next door. They were petitioning to have access to their property and parking on this project. You could see that there was this staircase ramp system that was to go from this property to theirs. There was a pretty good elevation change. That's why it looks pretty substantial. Since then, it's my understanding that the Beacon 21 no longer wants access to this property. So they have settled in a different way, and I'm sure the applicant can go into that for you. But so that's the only change. We had to come back and amend it because that was a board condition that they provide access for that. And that was through the hearing process. So now the new site plan is basically the same, little small modification to the parking area because it doesn't lead to the staircase or the ramp system. And the next door neighbor's ramp system access from this lot has been removed. And that's pretty much the gist of this application. So Development Review staff has reviewed the application and finds it in compliance with all applicable land development regulations and the comp plan as detailed in this attached staff report and recommends approval. As stated earlier, was not required to be before the LPA. And we would move that the board receive and file the agenda item and all its attachments as Exhibit 1, and move that the board approve the First Amendment to the Port Cove PUD agreement, including the revised master and final site plan. That's all I got.
Commissioner Hurd.
Yeah, what communication did Martin County receive from the Beacon 21 Homeowner Association asking that the cross-access be removed?
I don't believe Martin County requested that it be removed. They requested.
No, I'm asking what kind of communication we received from Beacon 21.
The growth management staff and legal staff received the correspondence between the applicant and the Beacon 21.
It wasn't included in the packet.
I apologize for that. But I thought that it was.
No.
Okay. But I believe Mr. Raines could go into detail on that subject.
Okay. I just need to understand what kind of communication we received.
Mr. Raines.
Good afternoon. For the record, Bob Raines. I'm here on behalf of OKSJN, the property owner of the Port Cove PUD. And I think Pete did a very good job, obviously, of presenting this. To answer your question, Commissioner, we did receive a letter from the Port Cove, or excuse me, the Beacon 21 property owners suggesting that they were in favor of removing this requirement. And Mr. Douglas, Mike Douglas is here today with the Beacon 21, so I'll definitely let him come up and speak for them too. So I don't want to speak out of turn, but basically, yes, we had, after, originally there was a condition in the PUD, there were condition number 19A and 19B that required us to provide easements, also required us to install the stairs. And then after the approvals, as we walk through the machinations of that, the POA decided that maybe it might be in their best interest if they went in a different direction, and we were certainly willing to work with them on that. Therefore, we needed to amend the PUD to, number one, remove the conditions of 19A and 19B. That's before you today, which is the requirements for the easements and the stairs. And then also, because the site plan had to be revised, as Mr. Walden pointed out, and that was an exhibit to the PUD. So that's what this amendment is about. We had a short presentation that Brian Terry was going to come up, but to be honest, Pete basically showed the changes, so I think that's necessary. But let Mr. Douglas come up and address Commissioner Hurd's question, if I could.
And you've been sworn in, correct?
Yes, I have. Good afternoon. When we went back to the Beacon 21 homeowners and explained to them what was happening and what the access would provide, we've chose to improve our amenities and gain access using our own property. And we would prefer to be locked off from the Port Cove PUD. Okay. So that's basically why we've made the change, or suggested the change.
Can you state your name and your title for the record, please?
Michael Douglas, President of Beacon 21 Condominium Owners Association.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
There's no
All right,
question.
any other questions for staff or the applicant? Any other public comment? Seeing none, back to the board. Well, now you do have a question. I already asked that. Go ahead.
Mr. Doug, can I just, Mr. Doug, just I think to follow on Commissioner Hurd's question, I'm assuming, and I know you should never do that, but I'm assuming that the POA voted or gave direction to you all to do this?
Yes, sir. We have voted, Beacon 21 is made up of 19 directors, and all directors actually unanimously agreed that we were going in the right path of eliminating access from their property.
Okay.
And that would be found in the minutes of a board meeting.
Okay, great. I just, sometimes
No problem.
things show up like 6 months from now and people say, I never agreed to that and there was nothing in writing or,
I mean, one of the biggest issues we had, and you're familiar with Beacon 21, being a very seasonal and elderly community. So once they got back on the ground and they could physically touch and feel the fence and the wall and all that other stuff, it was decided to go into the direction that we're going.
yeah, that's fine. I just, for your purposes as the,
Protected.
yeah, right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Campy.
Motion to accept staff's recommendation on behalf of the applicant.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Campy, seconded by Commissioner Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Peace on earth.
And Ms. Stephanie Murley is coming up, so obviously we're going to have Office of Management and Budget items which require board approval.
Several of them I have questions with.
A little spicy. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Stephanie Murley, Office of Management and Budget, here to present our OMB item. First up, we have the permission to apply for the Urban and Community Forestry Grant. This grant's for $75,000 with no match required, and it's to launch a native tree planting initiative along the Green River Trail, which is adjacent to the Green River Parkway, for stormwater runoff capture and to enhance the water quality of Warner Creek watershed.
Boom.
Commissioner Smith.
Thank you.
Thank your Public Works Department.
I know, it's just been it's been an ask for a very long time, and that's great news. Thank you.
Next up, we have the permission to accept the State of Florida Department of Environmental Protection Water Quality Workshop and Citizen Science Program Grant. This grant award of $60,000 for funding public education workshops to promote citizen science and engagement with water quality issues impacting local water bodies. There is a local contribution of $40,000, which is budgeted within the TMDL capital improvement budget.
Thinking,
The next one's a permission to accept the Bureau of Justice Assistance Criminal Alien Assistance Program grant. This is for the Martin County Sheriff's Office. It's a grant award of $21,426 for funding to offset costs for the Martin County Sheriff's Corrections Facility. It enables the Martin County Sheriff's Office to offset costs for equipment, training for corrections officers related to offender population management, medical and mental health services, and vehicle rental and purchase for the transportation of offenders. And there's no match required.
that one I'm not sure about.
Next up is the permission to accept the State of Florida Department of Health for the FY24 Emergency Medical Services, or the EMS Trust Fund grant. This is a grant that we get every single year for our fire department. It's for $23,728, and it enables the county to enhance the delivery of emergency medical services through the purchase of new equipment that is not otherwise budgeted. A portion of about $4,000 will be provided to the City of Stuart for their pre-hospital EMS system as well.
Commissioner Campy.
May I ask Mr. Resch a question about it? What's the, I want the kids to be able to see on TV. Ms. Murley said you apply and receive this every year. Is this a guarantee, or is it, how's the process working?
Matt Resch, Fire Rescue Administrator. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't claim credit for this one. It's per Florida statute, we are entitled to 45% of the traffic fine surcharges that are generated in the county, so it's a reimbursement.
Formula grant.
Good, thank you.
But we do have to apply, which I did, so.
If you don't ask, the answer's always no.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is the permission to accept the Resilient Florida Program Implementation Grant for the MacArthur Boulevard Road Elevation Resilience Project. This is a grant award of $1.2 million to acquire professional services to elevate MacArthur Boulevard roadway and install new drainage facilities. This requires a local share in the amount of $1.2 million, which is already budgeted in our MacArthur Boulevard Improvements Capital Improvement Plan budget. Next up, we have a permission to accept the interlocal agreement for the State Attorney's Victim Services Fiscal Agent Services. Essentially, this interlocal is between the State Attorney's Office for the 19th Judicial Court for Indian River County, Martin, Okeechobee, and St. Lucie. And what this interlocal does is just shift the role of fiscal agent from Indian River State College to St. Lucie County, since IRSC recently got a new accounting system and they're not allowed to provide fiscal services any longer. So St. Lucie County will be assuming that role. This modification has no changes in our current victim services agreement or services provided. Next up is the annual 2024 fiscal policy update. So every year, the board is required to update the county's fiscal policies to address changes and revisions. There are no proposed changes for FY24, but I will note that there may be a slight modification of the building department reserve verbiage to be in conformance with Florida State Statute 553, and will be presented by Jeff Doherty later this afternoon with this building department item.
Commissioner Smith.
I think I know the answer to this already, but I assume if we wanted to make a fiscal policy correction mid-year, we could. It's just merely advertising or having an agenda item that allows us to do that. I mean, it's not like we have to do it at this time of year and.
Absolutely. We have to do it annually, but nothing prevents us from doing it more frequently. Next up, we have a request for funds for the Economic Toolkit. On September 18th, the Business Development Board of Martin County transmitted their recommendations to the Martin County Economic Toolkit, and administration is requesting that the BOCC allocate funding from the Economic Development Fund in the amount of $53,455 so that work may commence to update the Martin County's Economic Toolkit. And then finally, we have a request for funds for engineering services. The Public Works Department is requesting funding in an effort to reduce the development review backlog due to extended and repeated staff vacancies for the past 18 months. Funding in the amount of $201,000 will provide in-house consulting services for plan reviews and include a 5-person rapid tech team of technical staff. And funds are available in the unincorporated MST reserves to fund this request. And that is all I have today.
Commissioner Smith.
If there are no other questions, I'll move staff's recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, a very loud motion by Commissioner Campy.
Just
Or a
merely
second.
wanted one.
And,
You're welcome. I don't hold a grudge.
okay, so with that, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay, now, Department 2, contracts that meet the threshold for board approval, $1 million or greater. 3 items, and Ms. Brotherton.
She likes to be announced as Palm City's own,
Palm City's own
Miss Brotherton.
Brotherton.
Good afternoon. Christy Brotherton, Chief Procurement Officer for the record. Mr. Chair, if we could separate out the voting for items A1 and 2, do those together, and then we'll take B1 separately.
As Mr. Campy would say, I allow it.
Thank you.
You're benevolent.
So the first item is item A1, which is a continuing services contract for building envelope consulting. This contract has a maximum not to exceed value of $4 million with a maximum not to exceed term of 5 years. And staff is recommending that the board award the contract to 3 vendors, which is ARC Associates Incorporated, J. Ammon Architect Incorporated, and Raymond Engineering Georgia Incorporated, and move that the board authorize the county administrator or designee to execute all documents related to this request. The next item is a continuing services contract for building architect consulting. This contract has a maximum not to exceed value of $4 million with a maximum not to exceed term of 5 years. And staff is recommending contract award to 5 vendors, which is CPZ Architects, Jeffrey Igo Architects, N2 Architecture and Design, REG Architects, and Song and Associates. And move that the board authorize the county administrator or designee to execute all documents related to this request. And I ask for a vote, please.
Okay, we're going to,
We're going to vote on this one first.
I would make
Yeah.
a motion to accept the recommendations thus far.
Second.
okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Campy, seconded by Commissioner Smith. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
And Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Heatherington.
Yes, I'll be abstaining from B1 as an employee of Ferrera Construction who's bid on the item. I have completed and submitted my Form 8B to the clerk.
Thank you. So the next item for your consideration is for our marine contracting continuing services contract. This request is for an amendment to increase the original contract not to exceed value. The reason for this amendment is to cover the county's current repair needs due to numerous weather events that have caused damage to the county's infrastructure, and to allow staff adequate time to complete the procurement and contract award process and allow for continuation of services until a new contract is executed. We did go out to bid. We did cancel that bid. We are in the process of revising the solicitation documents based on some feedback we received. So this amendment will allow staff to make the required repairs in the meantime till we can award a new contract. With that, staff is recommending that the board approve an amendment to the agreement for RFB 2021-3337 for marine contracting for Brothers Construction Incorporated and Ferrera Construction Southern Division Company Incorporated to increase the not-to-exceed value of the contract by $750,000 for a revised maximum not-to-exceed value of $3.25 million, and move that the board authorize the county administrator or designee to execute all documents related to this request. And that concludes this item.
Move staff's recommendation.
Second.
I want you to participate. Feeling.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Hurd. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 4-1-0 with Commissioner Heatherington abstaining. Well,
Thank you.
got through that. All right, thank you. Okay, Department 4, Mr. Downer, you're up. Building Department Plan Review and Permit Fees and Authorization to Allocate Funding for Updated Software.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jeff Doherty, Director of the Building Department. This agenda item is to update you on the status of the Building Department and make some arrangements so that we can move forward and come in compliance and stay in compliance with Florida Statute 553, which is the Building Department. Originally, the state building code came into effect in 2002. At that time, the statute lays out what the building departments, how they operate, what they do, how they use their funds, and restrictions on such. The intent of the building code statewide was uniformity across the entire state for consistent building construction and consistency in the review and planning. Prior to that, each government, county, city, college, school board could adopt their own building code and enforce it as they chose and do as they saw fit with the revenue. And in Martin County, there was a fiscal policy in 1999, and they adopted what to do with the money. That policy would no longer be effective with the enactment of the Florida statute. So today, we're here to address that and to give you an overview of where we are in the building department. We're 100% funded by user fee. There's no ad valorem tax used for the operation of the building department. One of the requirements of the building code statute is that we put an annual report out of our utilization report. That report includes various information such as number of permits, number of inspections, number of plan review, number of personnel, revenue in, expenses, and all that type of thing. It also requires an audited financial report. The clerk of the court has done that for us. What the building department does now is want to continue to move forward, provide the best service for our clients. We are competing on the private sector because under the Florida statute, clients can go and use private providers. So we are in an environment where we have to be very competitive. So we have to stay up to date on our technology and all our uses. To give you a little overview, 20-some years ago when our current fees went into effect in 2001, the county was doing about $300 million worth of construction. Today, last year, we're doing just under 900. So the volume of dollars has increased. The actual volume of work is up about 150%. So you can see the cost is exceeding the volume. How do we accommodate that without changing our fees? Well, some of the ways we do it is technology. A couple of things we've used is the Acela software system, which is an integrated plan review system that many of our departments use. We use it. Growth Management uses it. Public Works uses it. So it's a single operational system. It does have public access that our clients can go on and use it. What we want to do is take it to the next level. Currently, our software and our data resides on the county servers. We want to move to the web-based or cloud servers to provide better access. We want to upgrade our document viewer system. We're having some issues as technology moves along, and engineers, architects, plan reviewers can sign and seal digital plans. When we document them, it's tough to do that on our current, so we need to upgrade the software so we don't lose signatures and that type of thing during the review process, as well as the versioning. As 3 or 4 different people pull out a document and make comments, they don't get lost with each other. So that's staying up on technology. The other is we want to do an enhanced reporting information as we extract that to keep everyone current on the information we have. That's just how we do our job to serve better our clients and stay competitive. We've invested in texting. That sounds old, but it's not texting as you think. We now can have our clients text 24 hours a day for an inspection, so they can, 11:30 at night, they can request an inspection via text up till midnight, and we will respond the next day. We want to expand that to actually texting out, so that as applicant has some kind of information and that has been reviewed and approved or not approved, and automatic texts go to them so that they stay informed. We also just implemented the Calendly system. That's a play on the word calendar. Our clients can now make a scheduled an appointment with us 24 hours a day, 365. We offer them a face-to-face appointment, a phone call return, or a virtual. We have a great response, a positive response back, so that if you're calling for something, we'll make an appointment that you will get a call at 3 o'clock on Wednesday, so you know exactly when you're getting it. And we found out we've actually been able to answer most of those phone call questions, so they get an answer to the question prior to the meeting, and the meeting's canceled. So we've dedicated a person to provide that service. Others is ViewSpec. ViewSpec is a remote inspection service for minor things. Example, if you change your garage door, someone doesn't want to take a day off work for the contractor to come let them in and then take a second day off work to inspect it. The ViewSpec is a software system where the contractor takes a video. It's geocoded so they cannot take it of another building. It gives you longitude and latitude where it is. You must use the software of ViewSpecs. You can't take a picture on your iPhone and upload it. And that way the person who just had the garage door replaced or the hot water doesn't have to take a second day off. It's sent in, and then a licensed inspector will review it electronically. So there are some of the services. We've also gone to drones. We use drones for both time and safety. One of the issues we've had is steep roofs or high roofs. We don't want people crawling up on them, and that becomes a workman's comp issue. I can tell you, I looked at one of the drones zooming in on a nailing paddle on a plywood. If I was crawling on the roof with my reading glasses, I couldn't see as well as they can zoom in, so they're very effective. So there are some of the tools we're using. Give you an idea where we are from the last time we did this 20-some years ago. In 1999, there were about 1,000 single-family homes and multifamily homes built in Martin County. 93% were single-family, and about 7% or 70 were multifamily. Last year, fiscal year ending on September 30th, there were about 900, so it's down 10%, but it's totally flipped. That 49% were single family, 51% for multifamily. So you're seeing what's out in the world today, less families formed and demand for that. So that's the way it's headed. We also, with that, find that 75% of our homes here are built by national builders, where 20-some years ago, it was only 25%. With the national builders coming in more, it's probably a fall in the real estate market in 2008, 2009, where many people either got out of the business or they lost financing opportunities because many of the local banks are now been absorbed by the big national banks. With that, big national builders are more likely to use private provider, which means that's the competition for us. So we have to stay up and current on those to compete in today's world. Today, we're asking to, a couple things. Number one, to allow us to use our funds to develop more software and continue on with that and stay competitive for our clients. We're also asking to adjust our building permit fees. We're lowering them approximately 35%. Anything over $50,000 is based on the value of construction. Anything under $50,000 is based on the number of permits, number of inspections. Our inspections are $89.50, and that's what they were 20-some years ago, and they remain at that. We also charge an $89.50 plan review fee. However, we are waiving that if they file online. So there's less paper to touch, so we're trying to stay very competitive. So if you file online, you want to put a hot water heater in, it's $89.50, and then whatever the state surcharge is. That's about as competitive we can get. On the other construction side, the cost of construction since 2017, 2018 has gone up over 40%. We're predominantly a labor-based system. 80 to 85% of our budget is labor. Our labor hasn't gone up, so we can reduce our fees because the cost of construction multiplied by our rate is no different than the millage rate versus the appraised value or assessed value. So we're in that same area. We base our cost of constructions on two things: the greater of the applicant's cost that they provide, or the international Code Council list that's given every 6 months, and we update that periodically. Initially, I wanted the opportunity to adjust the fees periodically to stay in compliance with the state statute. However, with County Attorney's Office, we realized that I could not do that. It had to be through the board. So we put out a supplemental a resolution that set forth those fees, and you can see that they've been reduced. Again, we're trying to stay in compliance with the Florida Statute 553, putting our utilization report on the website, and today, with the permission to use our money for the upgraded software to set a reserve and fund away for operations, we're allowed by statute up to 1 year based on the prior 4-year averages. The balance of the money would go to a capital fund, and then we also would ask that they adopt the resolution. One thing I like to expand on too, kind of interesting. The building code is monitored by the Florida Building Commission, which is appointed by the governor. It's updated every 3 years, and the next one will go into effect January 1. And if we go to a prior page, I think the page is 909, if you would please. This kind of gives you some perspective of where we've come in the last 20 years. This is a picture of Pam, who's currently still in the building department. She was in where growth management is. This was it looked like in 99 or 2000 when the new building code came in. Boxes and boxes and boxes of plans. And we could not do that efficiently. Now, if you go to the next page, if you would please, Donna, you'll see today, this is what it looks like. It's coming in electronic, and plan reviewers are operating that way. So the efficiency of technology and the efficiency of not having to touch paper as much is where we're being able to keep our fees as low as they are.
This looks like Don Donaldson from behind. It's like he's doing double duty there.
That is Mark Daves, but
Don's cousin.
yeah, Don's cousin. There's no gray hair in there, so he must not have been the county administrator at the time. So with that, we would ask the approval of our request, including the adoption of the resolution, and we're glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Commissioner Campy.
Mr. Doherty, thank you. I thought that was very thorough. You again, and I've seen you do this before, most of our staff does, you recited all of that information, technical and detailed, without really any notes, just from off the top of your head, which I appreciate. I would make a motion to accept staff's recommendation and request, and Larry would be proud of you. You're doing an excellent job.
It's always good to follow behind someone who's done an excellent job and have great staff to support us. Appreciate that.
You probably wouldn't have said anything about Don's gray hair, however, but you're still learning.
We'll get there.
That's right.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Campy,
I'll second it.
seconded by Commissioner Smith.
Oh,
Did you make the motion?
yeah, I'm trying to streamline it.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, sir.
Great job.
Now, Department number 7, Martin County Safe Streets for All, Action Plan, Mr. Luke Lambert.
Good afternoon. Luke Lambert, Traffic Engineering Administrator for Martin County Public Works Department, and with me here is Stuart Robertson with Kimley Horns and Associates, our consultant for this Safe Streets for All action plan. This is the second time we've come before you. Back in December, we presented our draft plan. We met with you all for some one-on-ones to get some more feedback, and that was much appreciated. We made some revisions to the documents, and Stuart's going to go through our PowerPoint to discuss kind of some of the differences that we've seen in the data.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners, county staff, members of the public. My name is Stuart Robertson with Kimley Horn and Associates. We have supported Martin County on the development of its Safe Streets for All action plan, which is a program that is part of the bipartisan infrastructure law. There are federal funding grants available for communities that have SS4A action plans, and this is consistent with the Martin County and MPO's commitment to Vision Zero, which is that no amount of traffic-related deaths or serious injuries are acceptable, and we'll strive to eliminate those. We conducted a crash analysis for the SS4A. Since our meeting with you in October, we have updated the crash analysis to include all roadways in Martin County, regardless of jurisdiction. So previously, we were looking at county roadways, county-maintained roadways, I should say. We now are looking at all roadways, including municipal as well as state. And on the analysis side, we have found that Martin County does have better safety outcomes than its local neighbors when it comes to fatalities and serious injuries per capita. So I think that's testament to the coordination that you all and your staff have done with FDOT, with partner agencies, the countermeasures that have been recommended by Public Works and implemented by Martin County. It has resulted in safety outcomes that are better than most within Martin County. However, over the 5 years of the study data from 2018 through 2022, we still have approximately 400 friends and neighbors that are killed or seriously injured in traffic-related crashes. So we still have some work to do in order to help achieve our Vision Zero target. About 1/3 of the total crashes that occur in Martin County are on county roadways. And there has been an increase in crashes since 2020. And about 40% of the fatal crashes occur on county roadways. And this is likely due to higher speeds on our county roadways compared to city roadways or even FDOT roadways, some of which, of course, pass through urbanized areas. About 26% of the serious injury crashes that occurred on county roadways are in dark conditions. And so that led us to begin examining lighting and other nighttime improvements, lane departure improvements, countermeasures as part of our recommendations to address the crash occurrence. We did select projects that were based on both the analysis of the crash contributing factors as well as an equity analysis that is part of the US DOT requirement for Safe Streets for All. So just to summarize the project selection that the plan is suggesting that the county could consider for potential grant applications. The first corridor that we recommend is on Southeast Dixie Highway, generally between Monterey Road and Cove Road. And the recommendations here are to upgrade the existing mid-block pedestrian crosswalks to signalized crossings called pedestrian hybrid beacons. This would allow for pedestrians that are requesting to cross the street to be able to press a button and have a traffic stop at a red indication for a safe crossing for pedestrians. Other recommendations shown here are the same as what we had presented back in October, at your October 24th meeting. The second corridor is Southeast Bridge Road from I-95 to Florida Avenue. The recommendations on Southeast Bridge Road include installing rumble strips along the outside of the roadway, implementing new roadway lighting features, and installing electronic speed feedback signs that show a motorist the speed that they're traveling and compare that to the speed limit. And then finally, on Southwest Martin Highway, between Deer Run and I-95, installing lighting along the corridor, surface modifications to increase skid resistance, intersection lighting improvements at arterial intersections, including Alapata Road, and finally, rumble strips east of Alapata Road. We already do have rumble strips west of Alapata Road. And now I'll pass it back to Luke to finish up the recommendations.
Good handoff.
So, thank you, Stuart. So following back up, one of the requirements in the notice of funding agreement is that the board take a leadership and a commitment. So attached to this agenda item is a resolution that we would like the board to adopt. And really, I wanted to inform you all that in October, USDOT announced fiscal year 23 grant awards, and some of our Florida neighbors have actually gotten those awards. So to me, when I looked at the map, the city of Stewart got the biggest award. They got an award of like $2.6 million to do a demonstration project. I think every other award was for a planning grant. So we think that we are ahead of the curve. You know, we did this on our own dime, and we want to, start out strong in January. We think the notice of funding for next year will be in January, so very soon. So we wanted to, get this action plan approved and then really dive into, what does our grant application look like? What are the specifics that we need to get into? So with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Excellent report.
Have you heard an update on the lighting for Bridge Road?
We-
I'm literally tired of asking. I just,
So we've been in contact with FP&L since our meeting. I'm unsure if Jim has talked to Mr. Marshall Critchfield, but we have definitely heard from Mr. Eric Calling multiple times, so.
they've taken down the lights that were there. The only lights that are left on Bridge Road are private. Anyway.
From what they've told me, yeah, they needed to do some redesign of the lighting plan. Apparently it wasn't done correctly, so they needed to redesign their electrical feeds for those.
Yeah, Jim Gordon, Public Works Director. I talked to Marshall last week about it, and that is the case. They have to redesign it. They didn't have enough electricity coming to serve those lights,
That was
so.
2 months ago.
Yes,
That's
I agree.
the answer I got 2 months ago.
Yep, we had two projects that were really dragging. There was one up in Jensen Beach related to our irrigation system. That one has just been resolved. And then this is the next one that's on his priority list. So we'll continue checking in with him every 2 weeks. It's on my calendar to get a status update.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
Do you,
Go ahead.
how long, is it the stretch that we just saw? Is it from?
It's literally from Flora Road all the way to 95.
All the way 95. And do we have any idea, like, what the scope of that really, is it like 75 lights or something that get us that far?
No, so typically, what we have done with FP&L lighting is we've done intersection lighting. So throughout the corridor, if we were to do a photometric analysis of that, it still wouldn't meet any type of DOT standards. We're trying to spotlight intersections, And so I think yesterday at the MPO board meeting, there was a question about US 1. That project, the triple R project on US 1 from Contractors Way up to Jensen Beach Boulevard, that is true, a full design photometric analysis. We're talking like 150 lights. On Bridge Road, if we were to do something similar, which is what we could do for this roadway, we would need to do a full design, but it would be.
That's not what we're asking.
Correct. That's not what we're asking for with FP&L. But that is something that we could accomplish under this action plan.
So I think so the lights that were there, which I didn't count, now they're gone, so we don't know what that was. We were asking, I think, for 14 additional lights. And it's just simply to aim for the next light, right? I mean, we're not trying to illuminate the whole thing. We can't. It's just not practical. Plus, it's light pollution and the whole thing. But it's dark as death out there,
No, and because I don't get to talk to you about that.
Right.
So, I've heard you comment on it before, and I just wonder, should we be doing this study from 95 to Flora to find out, is there a way long-term for FDOT and for FPL to fund that kind of a strategy to make it safer? Or is it literally, okay, we get 14 lights and that's going to help us, but I don't know? I mean, it's kind of your call, Harold, but
I'm all for it.
For asking for more?
For asking for a study, absolutely.
And so the reason why I'm pushing this is because I don't know if you're asking us for that to ask you, but I would certainly say, look, if there's a safety analysis study that has to get done by FPL to warrant or to justify the addition of lighting, then let's do it if that's what we're asking for.
This question is brought to my attention more than any, unless we've got some controversial thing going on. My trips to Publix, right, or out and about, it's 70% of, are we going to do something about Bridge Road? Especially now that the lights that were there are gone. I don't mean to make an issue out of it. I just hope that it doesn't, we have to have a fatality out there to get somebody's attention. That's what my question is.
So, and I hesitate even to bring this up because it drew so much attention. But on the island, we did a project and we did a safety study for lighting on the island, and the residents didn't want it. We pulled the funding and we didn't do it. But one thing you could possibly ask in the study, Harold, Luke, and whoever, the lighting we do have out on the island is turtle lighting. It's that amber lighting and whatnot. And the way the LED lighting is working these days, you can really focus the lighting to a specific, it's not like the big Cobras that are on I-95 that light up the planet, although they're going to LED too, and it's pretty focused. But my guess is you could even maybe go to turtle lighting, which would give you some illumination out there better than nothing, but you'd have very little lighting pollution spinning off of it. But I would, if you want in the motion, but I'm asking you, if you want that, I'll add that to a motion to include that so that we can at least get this thing started to go.
My only apprehension is, would this slow down the process that's already not moving?
No, I don't believe so. And so I want to point out, there are, like, if you think about, Federal Highway down at Hope Sound, we have traditional state lighting system, which is, hundreds of poles, and then the county takes over for maintenance. What's happened on Federal Highway from Contractors Way to Jensen Beach Boulevard is the DOT is paying FP&L, they're paying them a large fee, capital fee, but they're installing intermediary poles. So that's something that we could do. We would have to come up with the capital cost to do that, but we could do more of that corridor lighting to that, photometric analysis would support. And then FP&L would maintain those lights in perpetuity. We would just finance them. We would pay the electric bill every month. That's definitely an option, and that has not been our case. What we've done so far, Commissioner Jenkins, has been kind of the free route, like get FP&L to put in the lights where we can without adding any new hardware, if you will, and going that route. But that's something totally our analysis and our stakeholders and, input has shown us that we need more corridor lighting through there.
Couldn't we at least ask and start and whatever recommendation that they would come back with, and Stuart, whether it's you or whoever is doing that analysis, it doesn't have to be I-95, but it's certainly something in between there, and I suspect that a safety study, corridor study, would tell you exactly what's needed and what the what and who does it and how it gets done. That's down the road from what the study says. This is what you ought to be looking at to achieve what you want. I think that's, I would worry about the funding later and not necessarily wonder, is FPL going to pay for it? Is FDOT? Get the study done first, and then at least we have the data.
I agree. We need to know what we're asking for, something that we don't really have any data and backup for that a study would provide. So, yes, that makes perfect sense.
So you want a motion to accept the resolution or to approve the resolution, right? And then can I add to that motion that we request staff to apply whatever the right terminology is to do a safety study, lighting study for the corridor from Flora. Is Flora far enough east?
Yeah.
To I-95.
You could, and I wanted to kind of lay this out earlier. The presentation with regards to the coral reefs was really kind of good timing. So if you think about this action plan is really our tier one. That's the base level. That's the comprehensive look. And then we would get into the site specifics. I mean, by all means, this document is really your guidance for staff to move forward to do those studies. So we've heard it loud and clear. It's in our analysis that this is one of the corridors, so we can move forward, with approving of the action plan.
But there's the action plan, but internal to the action plan is that at least, you can modify the motion if you want, but I would specifically ask that we move forward on that ask for that corridor study to start.
Yes.
I think those are two separate motions.
So do I.
Yeah, I think,
Okay, you all do it. I don't care. Trying to help and
Good points, just I would make them two motions.
does it make? But fine.
I think he wants a clean motion for his plan. And
Yes.
Fine.
Okay.
I don't care. Trying to help.
Then make somebody do something.
Move that the board approve the SS4A plan, the resolution, and authorize staff to apply for the bipartisan infrastructure law SS4A discretionary grant when it is available.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Hurd, seconded by Commissioner Campy. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
I don't think I can make that. I'm not capable.
Just, okay.
I'll do it. How do you want it to be worded?
I think it's really just staff direction that, it's direction to staff to prioritize this corridor project, I think.
I think the motion, Commissioner, is to direct staff to perform a lighting study on Bridge Road from Florida to I-95.
As a requirement of this, or in addition to this?
Just as a standalone to do that, and then to integrate, to seek funding.
But that's why exactly, and I appreciate what you all just wanted to do, but that's why I would have tied it to the prior motion so that somebody looking at the document says, oh, as a result of this work that we're doing, here's direction, but we can do it separate. I'm fine. So I would move that, please.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Heatherington. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. I think we're done, right?
Yeah, good study. I think we'll use it a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
We skipped around a little bit, but I think we got it all, right?
Believe it?
So with that, 505 comment. I don't have any comment forms.
You got someone coming up.
Okay. Just be sure to fill the form out. Huh? Yep.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
James Crowley for the record. Port Salerno, like all communities, I'm going to read something from I prepared, has many special interests. Whether it was a resident with an interest in only their property, the fisherman with an interest in the docks, New Monrovia with an interest in their neighborhood, the waterfront district with an interest, etc. And each of you has an interest in their interests. That's how you get elected. But nobody cared about all the vacant land that was west of the tracks. It was just lying there, and when it all of a sudden became important, it was natural for everybody to complain. And complain bitterly they have. But now what do? Do we just go back to doing little projects and letting our CRA funds continue to go unspent? Or do we finally decide to spend it on real infrastructure? And if we decide to spend it on infrastructure, what do we spend it on? Fishing docks, improvements to the parks, mitigating sewer expenses, which many people want. And if we do those things, are we okay with the downtown proposed area to simply just become apartments? Or do we step back and see the potential to design a common area that everyone can use? There was never an opportunity to create a common area because there were no developers. The CRA plans were just concepts and visions. And now that the plan has become real, the community is outraged that it might actually become true. Few other protests about any other small projects have a real chance of changing development because they are approved by the time people are aware of it. This is different. Nothing has been proposed. The outrage is happening in the planning phase. We, the developers, are organized, and that is a good thing and not a bad thing. That means we can sit down together with the community and the county and make plans together. This was an impossible dream, to build a downtown in a historical waterfront community, but I wasn't put off by the odds. I decided to take the chance and to get it done. I have made mistakes along the way. I have been misrepresented. I have misspoken. I have made this impossible task a little bit more improbable by these errors. But Port Salerno is a special place, and I'm confident that everyone will come together and be a part of its reinvention. But that's the problem for the community. They don't want to be reinvented. They want to be left alone. Everyone understands that. Martin County wants to be left alone in general. But that is no longer an option. We are at the heart of the CRA, and what we do will have a significant impact on the community. That's why I have been so public about our plans. Stories are about people, and the stories become about me. But this isn't about me at all. This is about a future for Port Salerno, and it largely depends on the 5 of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none. Any Commissioner comments? Commissioner Smith?
Have an amazing Christmas. Safe and all that kind of stuff. That's it.
Commissioner Heatherington?
Merry Christmas.
Commissioner Campy?
I wish I didn't have to make these announcements as frequently as it seems that I have to. And I've sort of taken on a role of eulogizing dear members of our county staff, of our community, dear friends. One of our closest friends, Miss Pat Spaulding, has passed away. After a long battle with cancer, a very valiant fight. I started my career in the county, and she was the District 5 executive aide. She was a superstar. You know, I inherited her. She was willing to stay on after her longtime commissioner, Mike DiTerlizzi, had moved out of the building, and she stayed on and made the transition from Commissioner DiTerlizzi to myself on behalf of the district so much easier. She was a superstar with the Palm City Chamber. She was like the quintessential, if a constituent had a problem, you could call the District 5 office and Pat Spaulding would take care of it. She is now, the good news is that her husband, her beloved husband Bob, had passed away earlier in the year, and I'm sure she was heartbroken. They were definitely a love story. She has so many friends. I know Commissioner Smith was dear friends with her as well. Carolyn Davey, George Stokas, and Mary Stokas really did a remarkable job of taking care of Pat, literally taking care of her, loving her. And so, like I said this morning, around the holidays, it's never a great time to lose a loved one, but especially not around the holidays. So I just wanted to say that, Pat, I love you, and rest easy. Thank you.
Merry
Commissioner Hurd,
Christmas.
follow that.
Can I tag on?
Yeah.
Ed, thanks for doing that. You are the best person to do that. I guess what I would tag on to, on a happier note with Pat, for years, she put on a Kentucky Derby party, like no other kind of Kentucky Derby party you could ever go to or be at. She'd have a good 150 people at the party. It would be all day long. By the time the Kentucky Derby came around, everybody was crammed into her living room, sitting on the floor, watching the race. It was also remarkable with her decorations in the house. I think I don't know if I counted 7 Christmas trees, 8 Christmas trees she would do. But she was a real unique individual, and she was a real rock star for us in many ways. And she probably more than anything kept George Stokes in line at the airport, probably better than any of us probably ever could have. So we will deeply miss her. I did get to talk to her about 3 weeks ago, and thankfully the conversation, you would never have known that Pat was ill or struggling one way or the other. She was completely lucid and happy, and it was a good way to remember her going out. So thank you, Ed, for doing that.
She was a wonderful lady. And with that, our next meeting is January. Yes, sir.
So, if you can indulge me, it'll be a few more than 3 minutes.
Oh.
On just a few comments. But one, first of all, thanks for recognizing Pat. And I think George Stokes said that I think there's no one that's given him the finger more than than Pat. But I'm sure knowing it's in a loving way, because he and Mary did a lot for her in the last few years, as you know. But anyway, I wanted just to take this day to at the end of the meeting just to recognize a few of our staff and some things that have been going on, to just give you a heads up. We often celebrate big ribbon cuttings and other things, and so I'm just going to illustrate a few things that have happened in the last few months or so that are usually don't rise to the scale of a annual report or thing, but still notable items. And so I think, we recently implemented a countywide timekeeping system, which I know a number of our staff have gritted their teeth over, but it's our IT system. It's made us all more uniform in how it's done. I think it's really hats off to the IT staff and human resources who've put that on. In addition, our HR department, we've been doing a on-the-spot recognition program, and we've recognized 60 employees this last year so far, and provided luncheon with certificates, and also safety on the spot, which has been really good to recognize our team members out there that are doing work and recognize that doing on a safe member. Both of these programs are nominated by fellow employees, and that's I'm really proud of what's been going on there. In addition, we have about this time last year or so, a little earlier, we asked, we have a uninterrupted power supply that serves our public safety complex that is a piece of equipment that so the 911 system operates, and then power goes out, it runs that facility. And our IT folks were really concerned that some of the equipment was getting antiquated, and so we asked our Congressman Brian Mast to get an appropriation, and I'm happy we got the appropriation. But like so many things in bureaucracy, it's getting the appropriation and actually getting the money in the bank, and then getting an actual contract award where that contract has been awarded. And it's I want to thank Brian Mast and his staff's effort for both getting us the funds and then helping us track it down from Washington to the state of Florida DEM, and finally a contract to us so that we could actually spend the money. So that's going on, really good project. And then similar in good works is, and Jim Gorton's here, he's got a staff member that's worked with us for a long time on disaster management, Lysandra Bonet, and we just recently got an impressive reimbursement of $2.5 million for hurricanes Matthew, Dorian, and Irma. And so those are, and Lysandra in the Public Works team works a lot with our budget office and even the clerk's office on how all this gets moved around and tracking it. Patrick Conte is also a consultant that helps with it. So there's a lot of team members involved in making that happen. But again, a significant item, finally getting some projects that have been hanging around for a long time. Public records, we've responded to over 1,000 public record requests. That's also a difficult, in this era of Florida and the sunshine, which we've had for some time, but the legal community has found it more and more a tool in their quiver, if you will, and we've got a great team working to respond to those public records requests. Just a handful of folks who work diligently on that. Parks had a after-school, out-of-school programs to 258 youth. The program provide various benefits: swimming, aquatic safety, 4-H curriculum, social learning. So that was, a really good program. In addition, our Parks Department with our senior program, Meals on Wheels. Currently, the program boasts 117 participants, and in the senior games, attracted over 380 participants. So, some of the areas that Parks is really doing a great job on, and also in their team program, they organized a thriving summer camp with 43 participants, 23 teams. And these teams collectively contributed 147 hours of community service through the team community service. And then the Teen Advisory Board hosted 7 district events throughout the year, delivering community programming for approximately 702 young individuals. So again, our Parks Department doing a lot. They do a lot of different things, but these programs and outreach have been really fantastic. Just a couple more items. One, we really appreciate the board helping to fund our mental health court. The mental health court provides mentally ill defendants with the opportunity to receive community-based treatment services. In Martin County to date, more than 350 clients have participated, and 211 have graduated from the program, which is significant because those graduates are not likely to return to that to the into the court system. And then finally, just to round things up, just mentioning our library has 366,000 items in our collection, and they check out about 730,000 times. I think what's interesting to me is visits continue to increase from last year, and they are 20% above pre-pandemic total. So hats off to our library folks who are doing a great job. We have a great reputation. Anyway, I just wanted to point out some of the notable items that your staff are doing at the ground level, and appreciate all that they do, and have a great holiday season.
Big year in review. Nice job.
Well,
Thanks.
Would you have anything? So, I know we had a full agenda today, but are we doing our priorities next on the 9th?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and with that,
Be resolutions now, not Christmas wishes.
our next meeting is January 9th, 2024. And with that, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and everything else that goes along with it.
Happy Hanukkah.
Yep, Hanukkah.